Welcome to a play-by-play review. I'm your host, Henry, and before we get into football, I just wanted to say something a little bit about some of the other stuff that's going on in my free time, or I'd say my life, but it's not really that deep. It's just some Star Wars stuff. So I'm obviously a big Star Wars fan. I've done some Star Wars content on this podcast already and on my main YouTube channel, Henry the Host. It's all one word. You should go subscribe to it. I would love that very much. But anyway, I'm someone who, over the past couple of years, I've been going through a bunch of the old Star Wars Legends books. So the old expanded universe that is now no longer canon, but is still has plenty of good stories in them. So like the Heir to the Empire trilogy and all that is one of the many books. But anyway, I've been listening to the audiobooks for a lot of them, and I'm currently going through the Hand of Thrawn duology, which is a fun little two-parter adventure set 19 years after episode 4, if you were curious. But anyway, I just finished the first book, Spectre of the Past, and like yesterday when I was recording this, and it was a fairly long book for like and in terms of, I feel like a lot of the audiobooks I've read or listened to, however you want to say it, I guess listen to would be the more apt term, but of the audiobooks I've gone through, it was basically around 15 hours was the length, and that's kind of been on a bit of the longer side compared to some of the others. Like I think the average is usually around like the 12 to 15 hour range for most of the books that I've read, or again, listened to. And then I got to Visions of the Future and I looked at it, and it is 26 hours long, which is crazy. The actual books, the Spectre of the Past is a little over 350 pages, which is pretty average. 350 is like, I think the pretty dead center for, I think, a lot of these Star Wars novels. Vision of the Future is over 520 pages, which is crazy. I'm not exactly complaining because it just means more Star Wars content for me, but still, it's a lot for one book. But anyway, that just a little fun thing that I wanted to point out that I've been doing. That has absolutely nothing to do with football, which is, of course, the episode that we are here for today. So week 17, second to last week, used to be the last week of the regular season up until a few years back. I think it's actually like 4 years now ago when they implemented week 18, which is crazy. But yeah, week 17 is over. It's the last week of football in 2025. So yeah, next episode of Play-by-Play Review, next week of football is going to be in 2026, which is absolutely crazy. And it's so weird that the 2020s are already almost they're technically now past halfway over at this point. But yeah, anyway, week 17 though, it was, to be honest, not the most exciting week in the world, I'd say. Like there's definitely some really good games in here. The Sunday night game especially was awesome, but it's a lot of these were just kind of okay games. There are a lot of games between teams that like you just don't really care about at this point because they're eliminated. There are definitely a lot of playoff clinching scenarios, but overall it just felt like a week where it wasn't quite as chaotic, I'd say, as some of the other, a lot of the other weeks, I'd say, in football. That's not to say that this week didn't have chaos. It certainly did. It's just that with how absurd this whole year has been, a week where there's like only one or two games that are insane is like a low point in the week, which is or in the year, which is kind of crazy. Most of the playoff spots have been decided at this point. There's, I think, only 2 or 3 playoff spots left that are like completely up for grabs. Most of the seeding is still needs to be decided in both conferences, but the actual playoff teams, for the most part, have been decided outside of really just the AFC North and NFC South. I think all of the wild cards are decided at this point. It's now really just 2 division spots, and that's about it. And those are going to be decided next week, since we can never have anything easy. But anyway, we'll start with the trio of Thursday games, since those were the Christmas games. Christmas Day, in fact, was that Thursday, and it started off with the Dallas Cowboys going into Washington to take on the Washington Commanders. Commanders long since eliminated from the playoffs, and I've certainly covered the struggles they had gone through this season. The Cowboys had also been eliminated the week before. Very, very disappointing season for them because Dak Prescott's certainly having a really good year, statistics-wise at least. He's, I think, thrown for over 4,000 yards at this point on the season. George Pickens obviously having a Pro Bowl, like all pro level, essentially level season. And they still are basically around 500. Like their offense puts up a ton of numbers, but their defense is just the worst, to be honest. It's a Dak threw almost 4,500 yards at this point. 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So really good season from him. I want to say he made the Pro Bowl at this point. I just have not paid attention to the Pro Bowl at all because I just don't really care about it. Nobody really does anymore because it just doesn't really mean anything. It's entirely a popularity contest. Actual statistics don't matter for the Pro Bowl. They haven't mattered for a while. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Anyway, Cowboys Commanders played. Commanders were missing Daron Payne, Larry Matunzel, and Marcus Mariota, and also Jaden Daniels. Just to name the few of the 20 plus injuries they've had this season. So it was a Josh Johnson start for the Commanders, and he actually didn't play bad, which I was a little surprised. He didn't play amazing, and certainly missed throws that he probably should make. But compared to last week, when he was thrust into the game and looked awful, he looked passable. Still didn't end up winning. The Cowboys would win 30-23, but it was a spirited fight for the Commanders, and that's honestly all I really wanted. Bill Krosky-Merritt had a big 72-yard touchdown run, which I was very happy to see. He finished with 105 yards and 2 touchdowns on the day. And, it was really just outside of the defense looking just god-awful to start the game in the first half. They gave up 24 points in the first half. Kevontae Turpin had an 86-yard touchdown catch on a play where the Cowboys were basically, backed up to their, 6-yard line or whatever it was, or 16, I guess it would have been. It felt more like the 6-yard line, and just completely burnt Quan Martin over the top and scored a touchdown. It was bad. And I was like, oh boy, here we go. But then the Commanders actually played a good second half. The defense kind of came together. The offense played a little bit better. They didn't win, which honestly at this point I'm okay with because I'd rather the Commanders tank for a better draft pick than get a meaningless win over. I mean, it would be nice to beat the Cowboys because it's always nice to beat the Cowboys, but I'm not unhappy with the loss. It was ethical tanking. Deebo Samuel had a really good game, which was nice to see. And overall, it was a whatever game. Javonte Williams got injured. I don't think it's super serious, but he was out for most of this game, unfortunately. Same with Tyler Biadasz. He also got injured, but not super serious, although I don't think he's going to be playing in week 18. And yeah, it was whatever. The only really big news that comes out of this game outside of the Commanders, basically locking in, picking at least 7th or higher in the draft. I think they're listed at 6th currently, but that could very much change. There's just a lot of really bad teams this year, so which is why Commanders who are 4-12 are picking 6th or between the 6th or 7th spots in the draft, which is crazy for a 4-12 team. There's some really bad teams this year, and we'll get to some of them here in a sec. But the big news, though, I guess you could call it big news, more surprising news than anything else, is that the Cowboys have released cornerback Trayvon Diggs. Diggs, former player who, I think it was 2021, he had, 10 or 11 interceptions on the season. He had a really big interception number and was very highly rated as a cornerback because of that. Then dealt with numerous injuries going on and also just not playing well. He has been outright released by the team. I know he had a big contract. They paid him and Deron Bland big money. And I'm going to be honest, that was a mistake paying both of them. Either contract was not a good idea. Both was shockingly bad because this might be a little bit of a hot take, but neither of them were very good, to be honest. Bland or Diggs, they were kind of their popularity was that they both got a lot of interceptions. Deron Bland had a lot of popularity in 2023 because he had 5 pick sixes, and that was a record, and that's really cool and all that. But he wasn't a great cornerback. He never really has been. In terms of actual coverage, Diggs is even worse. He's basically an all or nothing. He'll either get you an interception or give up a touchdown pass, and there's no in between. And like not a lot of people are really paying attention to that because, you just look at a cornerback, see that he has 11 interceptions in the season, and they think he's the second coming of Darrell Reeves or something like that. But that just was not the case at all. So the Cowboys, one of the many mistakes they made over the past, 30 years was paying two very streaky cornerbacks a lot of money when they just did not invest nearly enough into a pass rush and let Micah Parsons go for partly because of that. They just did not have the money to pay Micah Parsons what he wanted to. Even if the trade right now is actually kind of looking in the Cowboys' favor, well, sort of. It's honestly at this point with Micah Parsons' injury, it's kind of a lose-lose. But even then, I don't really want to call it that because you can't really prey on injuries. But it's like the Packers, obviously, they give up multiple first-round picks, and Micah Parsons is now out with an ACL tear, and they're kind of floundering their way into the playoffs. But so it's just unfortunate for them, and the Cowboys have missed the playoffs this year mostly because their defense is just terrible. Once again, see the fact that Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland, besides being injured, which once again, I'm not really going to count that against them, when they did play, they were not very good. And then they also just didn't have a pass rush. Yeah, it's just not a good look. Anyway, moving on from them, because honestly, I don't feel like talking about the Cowboys anymore. They just kind of suck right now. The Detroit Lions going into Minnesota to take on the Vikings on the 4:30 game on Christmas Day. And the Lions really needed this because if they would have lost, they would be out of the playoffs. And going up against a Max Brosmer-led Vikings, they lost 23-10 in a game that, like, legitimately one of the worst games they played under Dan Campbell since, like, his first year as head coach. I know that wasn't, like, super long ago, but, this is a team that went, I think, 15-2 last year. And the year before that, they went to the NFC Championship game. It was embarrassing. They turned the ball over 6 times. They could not hold on to the ball at all. The Lions couldn't. Jared Goff threw, I think, 2 interceptions, and he also fumbled the ball, I think, 2 or 3 times. The Lions offense could get literally nothing done. They scored 1 touchdown, and just, it was bad. It was really, really bad. The game was slow overall. The Vikings offense couldn't do much better. It was really just, this is a game that was won entirely by the Vikings defense. Max Brosmer finished with 51 passing yards, and he was sacked 48 times, so he finished with a net passing yardage of 3. Not 30, not 300, 3 total passing yards, and he still won by 13. Well, his team won by 13. I'm not exactly crowning Max Brosmer as the reason why Minnesota won this game. Jordan Addison had a long touchdown run on like an end around sweep, and that was like their one explosive play that they had. It was just a bad game overall, and just frankly embarrassing for the Lions. Like this is the Lions of old that we've seen. Like we thought the Lions were finally turning a corner, and then this happened. And like I get they've been dealing with a lot of injuries in the secondary, but I don't know what happened to Lions this year. Like you talk about collapses, like say the Commanders this year, and the Commanders certainly had a season-to-season collapse, but what happened to the Lions? Because the Commanders at least have the excuse of having everyone on the team injured. The Lions don't quite have that excuse. Like their offense has largely been cohesive this whole time. And I know they lost Ben Johnson, but like, what is going on with the Lions, man? Like they went from world beaters to just mid. And I'm sure they'll turn it around. I think their organization right now is run well enough that they can turn it around without, too much of a hassle. They just draft incredibly well and they have such a good system. But like, what is going on? The fact that they can theoretically be 4th in the division this year is shocking to me. And it is certainly concerning for the Lions that they had such a just disappointing season after disappointing ends to their previous 2 seasons. For the Vikings, though, just be glad you have an absurd defense and really hope that McCarthy can get better because I don't want to see this defense wasted. It's just insane because they're just carrying this team to a 500 record at this point. Brian Flores is a madman. I wouldn't be super surprised if he gets another head coaching gig sometime soon because he's doing an insane job in Minnesota. Once again, their quarterback finished with 3 net passing yards and they won by 13 points against the Lions. I don't know how you do that. But anyway, because of this win, the Packers made the playoffs. The Lions were eliminated. And yeah, I don't know, man. Moving on to the night game on Thursday, the Denver Broncos going into Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs eliminated at this point. Broncos well within shot for the first seed in the AFC. So very different trajectories compared to what we usually see for these teams over the past, decade, basically. Gardner Minshew was also still injured in this game, or still injured going into this game, so he was not playing. Instead, we got Chris Oladokun, or Oladokun, I think that's actually how you pronounce it, who had filled in for Minshew after he got injured last week. Oladokun did not look all that good in this game. Really, no one did, to be honest. This was a really bad game. It's kind of sad that Josh Johnson was like he was better than half the quarterbacks. Like he was better than Jared Goff. He was better than Oladokun, and he was better than Max Brosmer in this game, or in this week. And he was arguably better than Bo Nix as well, to be honest, in terms of performance-wise. That's not good. Like Bo Nix didn't, turn the ball over a ton or anything. He just didn't look great. And once again, no one did. Bo Nix threw one interception, and he only finished with 175 net passing yards. It was just not a good game. It was just really sloppy offense and good-ish defense, but it just neither of these teams look all that good. Oladokun finished with 57 net passing yards. Only got sacked once, I should also add, so he only threw for 66 yards total. It was just bad. No one really wanted to score a touchdown. The Broncos offense they're actually down 7-6 at halftime. And yeah, it's why there are a lot of people just are not super high on the Broncos, despite them being 13-3. It's because they just don't look a lot of the times they just look like a really mediocre offense with a good defense. And that's not a good success. And historically, that has not been a great success in the playoffs. People will point to, say, the 2000 Ravens, but more times you're going to end up like the 2022 Giants when they snuck into the playoffs. It's just not ideal, essentially. It's also a division game, so I'm not saying the Broncos team is locked for putting up poor performances in the playoffs, but I'm not super confident in them at the moment. They obviously got embarrassed last week against Jacksonville, and then going into Kansas City this week and putting up kind of a dud of a performance, even if it was a win, doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, essentially. So I'm very hesitant on the Broncos right now, despite their record. As for the Chiefs, it's whatever. The season's flush it down the toilet. This might be Travis Kelce's last performance at Arrowhead, because there's a decent chance he retires at the end of the season and the Chiefs end their season away. So that's significant, but other than that, it's whatever at this point. So moving on to the Saturday games, because those were the Thursday games. So we had two Saturday games. The Houston Texans going into Los Angeles to take on the Chargers at 4:30. So we'll start with that. The Texans would win 20-16. I guess I might not have said the final score for the Broncos. That was 20-13. So Texans, Chargers, also kind of a bleh game. The Texans got off to a really hot start. CJ Stroud threw two big deep touchdown passes in the first quarter on their first two drives on pretty busted coverages, but still really nice passes from Stroud. And then after that, the Texans offense just got shut down. Meanwhile, the Chargers offense took a good long while to get started. They were getting just hammered early on. The one time really in the first half that they had a shot at it, at least scoring anything, they did score one field goal at the end, but before that, they were getting into the red zone, and they were basically in the red zone, and Herbert hit Arondé Gadsden for a pass, but basically on the 2-yard line, but Gadsden forgot to actually catch the ball, and it basically popped up right into Azeez Al-Shaair's hands for an interception. And it was just quintessential Chargers where the most improbable mishaps would happen. And you just see offensive linemen not block and Herbert gets sacked in 0.1 seconds. Just the Gadsden interception or the missed catch that led to an interception. It's come on, man. and just more typical Chargers shenanigans happening is the best I can say about that. And after Stroud, those first two drives for Stroud, he did not have a great game, to be honest. He had second half was better, but he did throw 2 interceptions. So like pretty bad interceptions at that. And it's like you watch CJ Stroud and it's like he has some really good moments and then some like really questionable moments as well. And it's a little confusing to watch. The game was just really sloppy overall. Teams, they were just training turnovers and punts and just poor play overall, to be honest. This is also one of the few times you can actually say Cameron Dicker cost the Chargers a win. Cameron Dicker, who is a really, really good kicker, like one of the best kickers in the league, missed both a 30-yard field goal and an extra point. And Chargers proceeded to lose by 4. So there's your 4 points. It's not necessarily saying like if he made those, the Chargers would win, because Texans would probably have their game plan be a bit different going down the stretch. But anyway, it was just very surprising that, of all things, Cameron Dicker was the one who kind of cost the Chargers the win here. But it was also very, very appropriate that the Chargers special team was what cost them in the end, because with this win, the Texans would clinch a playoff spot and also eliminate the Indianapolis Colts. And Phillip Rivers, who was the Colts quarterback, was obviously a San Diego Charger for a long time, and something very, very common in Chargers lore is that their special teams during the Rivers era was just awful. So one last time, the San Diego Chargers and their special teams, or I guess the LA Chargers and their special teams, let down Phillip Rivers for one last moment, and blocked him from making the playoffs again. So pretty sadly appropriate there. But anyway, yeah. So the Texans are in, Colts are out. Broncos also clinched the AFC West. So the Chargers can only make a wild card spot. And once again, it's like Justin Herbert is very good. They certainly have good players, but this incredibly injured and underwhelming offensive line is really going to hold them back. As for the Texans, they really need to figure out their offense, because their defense is really good. It's like Minnesota, but they're like playing better this year. Essentially, they have a better quarterback situation. Their offense just needs to get it together. More of what the game started out as than what it ended as, because if they can play like they did in the first 2 drives for more than the first 2 drives in the game, this is a really dangerous team. If not, though, it's going to probably be more of the same, unfortunately. So then moving on to the 8 o'clock game, the Saturday night game, which was the Baltimore Ravens going into Green Bay to take on the Packers. Ravens need to win out in the last 2 games to secure a playoff victory. They needed to win this game to force a Week 18 showdown with the Steelers, and they also needed the Steelers to lose, and we'll get to that in a little bit, to keep their playoff hopes alive. And on Saturday night, the Ravens, well, they kind of took care of business pretty well, because after last week, where the criticisms towards deserved criticisms towards John Harbaugh about not using Derrick Henry late in the game when he really should have, Harbaugh kind of just completely overcorrected and decided that their game plan was to just give Derrick Henry the ball every time. And what do you know? It worked. Derrick Henry ran 36 times for 216 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, giving the ball to Derrick Henry is, surprise, surprise, a really good idea. The Packers defense could do nothing against Derrick Henry this game, and he just ran all over them. The Ravens would win 41-24, and it wasn't really that close. The Packers got off to a really slow start and really sloppy start, I'd say. And there was just there were botched snaps and drops and just not a good start. And that's also not to discount Malik Willis, because he actually had a really good game. He finished 18-21 for 288 yards and a touchdown before getting injured. I might add, he got injured late in the second half. And then Clayton Tune, of all people, had to come in, and he almost immediately threw an interception off of a batted ball, essentially, or a missed catch or something like that. It was it was a battle between backup quarterbacks. There was no Jordan Love or Lamar Jackson in this game, and the Ravens just completely outplayed the Packers. It was not a good game for them at all, to be honest. The Packers are still obviously in the playoffs, but it's not looking good for them at the moment because they're just they're almost in free fall mode at this point. The injuries suck. Having your starting quarterback and your superstar defensive player out doesn't help. But yeah, it was not good. So the Ravens survive. They're still in the playoff hunt. I'll get to the Steelers in a sec. And if they just keep giving the ball to Derrick Henry, usually good things happen. For the Packers, though, yeah, I don't know. So next up, we'll go to Sunday, and we'll actually start with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers, had they won this game, they would have clinched a playoff spot and would have actually broken the 9-8 curse, or the 9-8 streak. They're sitting at 9-7 right now because they lost this game. And for some reason, ESPN just does not have a summary for it at all. I don't really know why. It just lists the stadium and the location for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, the Steelers lost this game. They lost 13-6 in a really just boring, ugly defensive game. It was a game that the Steelers were missing TJ Watt and DK Metcalf. Metcalf obviously suspended for his punch to the fan last week in Detroit, which we apparently, for some reason, the fan decided to hold an actual press conference to address everything going on, and everyone just kind of lost sympathy with him because he's apparently been targeting DK for years to verbally harass him in the stands, and it's just some weird scenario going on over there. I don't know. But yeah, Steelers definitely missed DK because their receiver core was not having a good game, to be honest, and really their entire offense was not having a good game. The Browns weren't faring much better on offense, to be honest. Shedeur had some pretty bad interceptions. He had some good throws, but some bad throws as well. Harold Fannin Jr. also unfortunately got injured in this game, and he's been a really, really good bright spot for the Browns this year. One of the best rookie tight ends we've seen in a while. He might not be putting up the same numbers that Brock Bowers or Sam Laporta did, but what a find for the Browns there. I kind of been saying it for a little while now. Their rookie class this year has been very, very strong. And for a team that's 4-12 and picking just out of the top 5 at this moment, I think they're actually picking 7th right behind the Commanders. There's definitely some good to look here. Unfortunately, Myles Garrett did not break the sack record. He did not get a sack in this game, but it's at this point, I think they're more content to beat the Steelers and potentially keep them from making the playoffs because now the Steelers need to beat the Ravens. It's whoever wins between the Steelers and Ravens in Week 18 goes to the playoffs for the AFC North. So, spoiling the Steelers party, probably pretty fun for the Browns. The Steelers' play calling was not very good. Darnell Washington unfortunately broke his arm during this game. They're really, really large tight end that they have, who's more close to the size of an offensive tackle than a tight end, but he still plays as tight end, so it's pretty cool there. But the Steelers, they had basically a goal-to-go situation to try and tie up the game, or score a touchdown to try and tie it up right at the end. And they went 3 straight passes to Marquez Valdez-Scantling while Denzel Ward was covering him. And Denzel Ward is one of the better cornerbacks in the game. And he said it after the game. He's I don't know why their game plan was to target me 3 times in the red zone, but it obviously did not work. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a single Steelers fan that's yeah, I agree with those calls. Those were good calls. Everyone's just what are you doing? That was very not smart. I almost knocked my phone over if you were wondering what that sound was. But anyway, it was a rainy game and just ugly overall. Very Steelers-Browns coded. A very typical Steelers-Browns game. The Steelers playing down to competition and losing a game they really shouldn't. And the Browns just randomly winning a game against the Steelers when they're just have no reason to. So moving on, we go to another division game. And this one equally as boring, though kind of for different reasons. The New England Patriots going into New York to take on the Jets, and the Patriots won 42-10 in a game that was never close. It was another start for Brady Cook and didn't really matter because the Patriots offense just went to town. They scored 35 points in the first half alone. and Drake May got taken out of the game because he was playing so well, and the Patriots were up by so much by like the third quarter. May threw 5 touchdown passes, only threw 3 more touchdown passes than incompletions, and yeah, it was just bad. Like, the Jets are one of the worst teams in football, and it's just embarrassing at this point. They're like, nothing has changed basically. You look back 6, 7, 8 years ago, Tom Brady leading the Patriots to a winning record and just blowing the doors off of Jets in a late game in the season. Flash forward to now, Drake May leading the Patriots to a really good record and just blowing the doors off the Jets, who are still in quarterback purgatory and still have basically done nothing of importance. So yeah. I'm assuming the Jets go, well, I don't know if they go quarterback in the draft. Who knows? They could sign someone like Malik Willis maybe, because right now their quarterback room just is not working. It's just really bad. Patriots get a freebie win to keep up with the Broncos for the number 1 seed in the AFC, and yeah, it was just bad. The one piece of bad news basically for the Patriots is that there's been some allegations towards Stephon Diggs that have come out recently of like felony assault charges or something like that. So that's not good. Don't know how it's going to resolve itself, but keep an eye on that. We might see a suspension incoming for Stephon Diggs. Ugly stuff there, essentially. We will move back to football, though, and go to the New Orleans Saints going into Tennessee to take on the Titans. And for a game between two teams that are basically picking top 10, Titans picking like top 3, Saints picking top 10 in the draft, it was a really fun game, honestly. Saints would win 34-26 in a game that was a lot of flash from both of the rookie quarterbacks. Tyler Shuck and Cam Ward both had pretty good games. Audric Estime, a former Broncos running back who's now on the Saints, had a really nice game. He finished with 94 yards on the ground on 14 carries. Chris Olave had a really good game. Chimere Dike had a pretty good game also. And Cam Ward, he had some really athletic plays. Tyler Shuck is actually looking pretty solid as a quarterback for the Saints. So they might not have to address the quarterback position in this upcoming offseason for the first time in forever, it feels like, which is interesting. They're very much a tank bull. And other than that, it's just it's fun football against teams that have basically nothing to play for. So yeah, this is also the first time the Saints won 4 straight games in 5 years, which is kind of sad. But hey, I mean, it kind of sucks that they're actually playing good this late and when it doesn't really matter, and it kind of affects the draft stock. But for a team that is never rarely seem to try and be just blatantly tanking and rebuilding, they always seem to say that they're trying to actually compete. And really try and make it into a playoff spot. And with how bad the NFC South is, they certainly could. But it's good to build momentum and get your young quarterback who, I mean, age-wise he's not the youngest in the world, but experience-wise he's very young. To actually throw for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns against a defense that is not the worst in the world. Pretty good. It's pretty good. The Titans, I think, are picking number 3 overall in the draft, maybe 3 or 4, something like that. And yeah, that's about it. After that, we will go to the Jacksonville Jaguars going into Indianapolis to take on the Colts in a divisional matchup. The Colts had been eliminated the day before, so they were unfortunately out. Philip Rivers still got the start, though, which is pretty cool. This is most likely going to be his last start and last appearance in the NFL again, since we do know that Riley Leonard will be starting for the Colts in Week 18. And I mean, who knows? They might trot Philip Rivers out for one play at the end of the game to give him a bit of a send-off, but I don't know for sure. So there's a decent chance this is Philip Rivers' last game, probably for good this time. This was a pretty defensive game, to be honest. Both offenses were having a hard time getting going. Rivers, I don't think he had a chance to pass Ben Roethlisberger on the all-time passing list. I don't think he did. I think he got close, but not quite enough. And he didn't have his best game, to be honest. But he made some throws and definitely kept the Colts in the game, but the Jags were just a little bit better. The Jags were kind of able to break it out or break open the game a little bit in the second half. Trevor Lawrence had 2 rushing touchdowns, but definitely was not his best game that he's had in like one of the like more pedestrian games he's had in a good while, and really the worst he's looked in probably the past 4 or 5 weeks, I'd say. But again, it's a division game, and the Jags, I feel like usually tend to play the Colts pretty close, unless the Colts come to Jacksonville, because the Colts always do terribly there. But it's one where they won an ugly game against a division rival, so you can't really complain. They still keep a stranglehold over the division. I think they've clinched it. I don't remember for sure. They might not have, because actually, what is the Texans' record? I don't remember. It's Texans are 11-5, Dolphins or the Jags are 12-4. I don't remember what tiebreaker is between them. So either way, they still big win for them. And the Jags, once again, one of the surprise teams of the league in the sense that they're playing really well. And I have a lot more confidence in a team like them over a team like Denver. Even if the Jags didn't play all that well this week, it was against a better team for the Jaguars, and I just feel like they're a bit more coherent at this point in the season. Because like earlier in the season, not so much, but recently the Jags have looked a lot better. For the Colts though, like huge, just awful missed season. Like literally everything that went wrong for them did go wrong. There's a stat where it was coming out of the Colts bye week. They between the Jags, the Texans, and the Chargers, who were like the 3 teams they were competing for playoff spots at that point. They're like 17 games or like 17 outcomes split between all of them that the Colts needed to break their direction, and they literally got none of them. Like literally every single possible outcome that could go wrong did go wrong for them. And that's also to include the fact that Daniel Jones is out went out with a torn Achilles. Sauce Gardner went down with an injury like 2 games after they traded for him. And so they don't have their first round pick for the next like 2 years now. So yeah, I don't know if the Colts can quite bounce back from this at the moment, because they definitely seem to peak too early, but I still think I don't think they're going to completely fall flat. But it's either way, not good for them at all. Pretty rough. I feel bad for Colts fans essentially, because like talk about getting your hopes up for nothing. So after that, we'll move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Miami Dolphins in Miami. And the Buccaneers, who I think if they won this game, they would have clinched the division. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was definitely, if they didn't clinch with a win, they would have gotten really close to essentially clinching with a win. Unfortunately for them, the Buccaneers basically played like a wet fart. That's literally what I wrote in my notes, because they just looked awful. Baker Mayfield has clearly been playing hurt for a good chunk of the season, for like most of the back half of the season, and he had a pretty solid game overall, 346 yards and 2 touchdowns. But even still, like you can just kind of tell he's not the same that he was early in the season. I had him as my MVP favorite when I did my my early season predictions back in, I think it was week 5, and he's just not the same. It's like same with Emeka Egbuka. I had him as my offensive rookie of the year, and Egbuka's just fallen off a cliff, like completely. He's been a non-factor in most games for like the past 8-9 weeks, essentially. I think Tedero McMillan is now, I think, the front runner for offensive rookie of the year, but both the offensive and defensive rookie of the year, to be honest, don't really have clear front runners, which is interesting. Like there hasn't been someone there hasn't been a Jaden Daniels or Brock Bowers, even if Bowers didn't win offensive rookie of the year. But yeah, like there's no Jaden Daniels, no like Sauce Gardner when he was a rookie or whatnot. It's none of that, essentially. For the Dolphins, though, Quinn Ewers actually didn't look too bad. He was more of a game manager than like a real gunslinger, but he was managing the game pretty well. And I mean, the Dolphins, meaningless win for them, but hey, if Quinn Ewers is the guy they want to have moving forward, these are the type of games you need, because he looked promising. Better, honestly, than Tua has for a lot of the season, which is unfortunate. Because once again, I like Tua, but like he has not been playing well. And yeah, I mean, the Dolphins, waste of a season, but you might have something with Quinn Ewers. Maybe. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if they keep Mike McDaniel around. For the Bucs, though, they're still alive mathematically because the Panthers, they had to play the Seahawks, and we'll get to them in just a second. But they're very much limping into Week 18, and I mean, there's still certainly a chance that they could beat the Panthers and move on. But I think now also they need Atlanta to lose as well. Like, even if they beat the Panthers, they also need the Falcons to lose in Week 18 to make the playoffs. So it's not good for the Bucs, essentially. They probably are going to need to do some soul searching and probably coaching searching as well in the offseason. And so, speaking of the Panthers, they, in the 1 o'clock slate, as we're still in the 1 o'clock slate for Sunday, played host to Seattle. And Panthers did not play well at all. This is a really bad game for the Panthers. They lost 27-10 in a game that was a really slow start. To be honest, like, both offenses looked pretty bad. It was 3-3 at halftime. And then after that, the Panthers basically just committed a bunch of mistakes. And the Seahawks were able to capitalize off those mistakes. Like, Bryce Young threw an interception or two, and like they fumbled as well. And the Seahawks were finally able to kind of break the walls down a little bit. Both defenses were actually playing pretty well. Like, don't let the final score fool you. Panthers defense was actually playing pretty well. They did have trouble guarding, of all people, like between Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Kenneth Walker. It was, of all people, Zach Charbonnet who actually had the best game of all of them. He had 18 carries for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. And, once again, just making fantasy owners livid because the Seahawks never seem to want to use Kenneth Walker like effectively. But I mean, if you're playing the hot hand in this scenario, it's fine for them. So the Seahawks keep tight with the insane NFC West division race because the Seahawks are 13-3. The Rams are 11-5, and the Niners are 12-4. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I still worry a little bit about the Seahawks offense because they've been a little streaky as of late and not in the best way possible. Like, Darnold especially has not been playing the best football compared to what he was, mid-season. But still, it's a nitpick, essentially. I'm nitpicking here because the Seahawks are a very good team. And I can easily see them making it to the Super Bowl. It's just, I'm like, this first half and like, I feel like the last couple weeks have just been a little concerned, essentially. And there's always the chance that the old Sam Darnold can show up. It happened last year with the Vikings. We didn't see it till literally the last week of the season and in the playoffs, but it could happen. Just be aware. And yeah, for the Panthers though, and they still have the inside track to their division, and I just don't think they're going to go like anywhere in the playoffs just because they're still very much a flawed team. But with how bad the NFC South is this year, and I mean, the Panthers are 8-8, so it's not like they're the worst team in the world. They just have a lot of flaws in their roster, and how they play games. Like, Bryce Young still has a lot of room to grow, and their passing attack really is what kind of holds them back a lot of time because their rushing attack is actually pretty solid when it gets going. But I like the Panthers. I'm just not super high on them, and this is kind of the outcome I'm going to expect in the playoffs if the Panthers make it into the playoffs. So after that, we'll go to the final 1 o'clock game, and one that I can go through very quickly because it was a snooze fest, to be honest. Or I guess not really snooze fest, but like just a game that was there. It was the Arizona Cardinals going into Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Bengals won 37-14 in a game that their offense finally showed up again. Chase Brown had a good game. Jamar Chase had a good game. He finally scored a touchdown for the first time in like 10 weeks. Joe Burrow had a good game. The Bengals defense actually had a good game for once. Cardinals just didn't really do anything. I literally have two lines in my notes on this game is that the Bengals play well and the Cardinals didn't show up at all. And that's basically all I can say about this game. Like, both these teams have been eliminated from playoffs weeks ago. They have a lot of questions going into the offseason. There's a decent chance that one or both of their head coaches are fired. And while they certainly have parts that are good, Cardinals, a lot fewer parts than the Bengals. They have a lot of flaws that they need to address, and I'm not quite sure if they can address all of them in one offseason. The Bengals kind of been treading water for the past 5 years or so, and the Cardinals, they've been treading water for really, honestly, since their Super Bowl loss back in 2009. I guess calendar year 2009, I think. I think it was the 2008 season. So anyway, we'll move on because that game was whatever. To the only 2 games in the late window of Sunday, or the late afternoon window. The first one, the 4:05 game, was the New York Giants going into Las Vegas to take on the Raiders in the Ultimate Tank Bowl. So this game was super important because basically whoever won or lost this game, but really won it, would lost it on the scoreboard, but won it in the long run, would basically get the first overall pick. Had the Giants lost this game, they would have secured the first overall pick even without going into week 18. Whereas if the Raiders would have lost this game, they would have had something like an 80% chance to secure the first overall pick. And so this was one where it felt like going into the week. It was like they were both trading blows with each other in the sense of which of their star players can they render inactive first. So the Giants didn't have Andrew Thomas in this game, but the Raiders ruled out both Max Crosby and Brock Bowers, and there was a bit of drama with Max Crosby because he really wanted to play because he'd been playing through a leg injury or some kind of injury. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what it was, but he'd been dealing with it for months basically, and the Raiders finally put him on injured reserve when he didn't really want to go on there. And he even posted, I think it's actually it was foot or leg, one of the two. And he posted a video of him jumping on a trampoline and also playing basketball in his house, on the Friday before the game. And so he's very much not happy. Don't know if it's going to lead to anything, but it's pretty obvious that the Raiders were trying to not play him so they could lose, or it's certainly a theory, I should say. And the Raiders did lose this game 34-10. The Giants actually played a pretty good game overall. And I said a couple weeks ago when the Giants played the Commanders that the Commanders were bad this year. The Giants were even worse. I'm going to kind of say something pretty similar. The Giants are really bad this year. The Raiders are horribly bad this year. I don't really know how they won 2 games this year, to be honest. They're so bad. They I guess Ashton Genty had a kind of good game this game, but no one else did. They just didn't do anything in this game. The Giants are not a good team, and yet they look like a legitimate team in this game. Jackson Dart he had a fine game. Wan'Dale Robinson had 113 yards. He's in a really good season, to be honest. Tyrone Tracy had a pretty good game, and it was not good at all for the Raiders. They did not play well in the slightest, and in the end, though, that actually helps because they now have the inside track to picking first overall and most likely selecting Fernando Mendoza, I would have to assume. But yeah, it's gonna. In the long run, it certainly helps the Raiders. The Giants, I think, are still picking second at this point, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But if they sit number 1 overall, they could probably trade back and accrue a bunch of picks, I would assume, because they have the quarterback of the future. And usually, a lot of times now, teams are wanting to draft quarterback. One top 3 overall, since quarterback is the most important position on the field. And I don't know how good Fernando Mendoza is going to be in the NFL. I'm also assuming he's going to be the first overall pick because he did win the Heisman this year and he's leading a really good Indiana team in college. But I don't know if he's going to be a superstar or whatnot, but I would still have to assume he's going to be highly coveted by a team like the Raiders or the Jets for trying to fix their franchise because a good quarterback can really do that. And so yeah. Honestly, that's about that. Geno Smith's also going to be out for the last game of the season with a high ankle sprain. He went down halfway through this game as well. So it should be Kenny Pickett leading the Raiders for the final game of the season. Then for the second game of the late afternoon window, it was very much an opposite in terms of quality of the teams. The Philadelphia Eagles going to Buffalo to take on the Bills in a kind of wintry mixed start to the game. It was kind of raining, kind of sleet a little bit, and eventually sort of faded away a little bit. And that weather kind of described how this game went. It was very ugly. The Eagles would score 13 points in the first half. The Bills would score none. No one would score any points in the third quarter. The Bills would score 12 points in the fourth quarter and lose 13-12. It was a game that the Eagles started off actually pretty decent. Like their offense had a pretty solid. I mean, even if they only scored 13 points overall, it was like pretty solid-ish first half. And their defense was playing insane. Like their defense was doing what we expect of the Eagles defense, essentially. And just making Josh Allen and especially James Cook. James Cook was getting bottled up a lot. Like they were just having a rough go of things. In the second half, though, it was a bit of a different story. The Eagles defense was still playing all right. Like again, they only gave up 12 points. It was 2 touchdowns basically that the Bills scored. And the first go around was that they blocked the extra point, and then the second one, the Bills tried to go for 2 at the end of the game, and Josh Allen just missed a throw. But yeah, the Eagles offense had, I think, 5 yards in the second half. Like not just one player. The entire offense had 5 total yards in one half. It was not good at all. Like their offense just completely shut down. They would basically just go like run the ball up the middle with Saquon twice, get no yards, throw a deep ball, miss it, and then punt. And they did that a lot. I'm trying to find like if I can find stats for it. So I'm just gonna read off the drives for the Eagles in the second half. So they go 5 plays, 13 yards, 2 minutes. 3 plays, 0 yards. 3 plays, 2 yards. That is their third quarter drive. Fourth quarters, 3 plays, 4 yards. 3 plays, -2 yards. And then the end of game, 1 play, -1 yards for the kneel down. So like they only had 1 drive in the entire second half that went more than 3 plays, and it went 5 plays. Like that is not good. Like I'll read you. So it was 5-yard run, 10-yard run, incompletion, -2-yard run, incompletion, punt. Then it went incompletion, punt. then it goes 2-yard run, 2-yard run, sack, punt. Then the fourth quarter it goes 3-yard run, 1-yard run, incompletion, punt. Then it goes -3-yard run, 1-yard run, incompletion, punt. So that was the Eagles offense in the second half. They are very lucky to win this game. I'm going to say that right now. They are very lucky to win this game with that type of performance. There's actually a stat I saw where it actually combined 2 different things. So it also includes the Packers, where the Packers have played 3 games this year where they have never punted the ball. They never got to a point on 4th down where they needed to punt. The Packers lost all 3 of those games, including this week. They did not punt this week, and they lost. The Eagles also have a similar stat where they have 3 games where they had like in one half of football they had less than like 10 total yards of offense, and they won all 3 of those games. So that's kind of 2025 in a nutshell, and also very indicative of the Eagles, especially. They are a team that offensively only seems to only show up for a half or 2, or a half or maybe 3 quarters. They never seem to show up for a full game, and they have major questions on offense. Their defense is really good. It has always been really good, especially with Jalen Carter back. He was back in this game, and it shows. He had a really good game. He was the one who blocked the extra point, and that really changed how this game went. Their offense, though, like, it's so bad for stretches. Like they sometimes play well, but then other times they just do what they did in this game, where they have 5 net yards or something. I think it was more than that, but you get the idea. It's like just no yards in the second half, and like you can't win meaningful playoff games like that. I'm just going to say that right now. If the Eagles keep playing like this in the playoffs, they're not going to win playoff games because the teams are just better. They're better than that. Like I know they beat the Rams in a similar way, but that was like back in week 4. Like I don't see the 49ers losing to the Eagles team. I don't really see the Seahawks losing to this team either. The Bears probably beat them again. The Bears already beat them once this season. I could see them beating them again. I could see the Rams beating them again as well. Like I've very much been open and honest that I'm an Eagles hater. And I'm certain that part of this is just me being a hater, but like this is an offense that is way too streaky for its own good, and it will be the reason they lose a playoff game. I'm going to say that right now. if anything, if I can guarantee anything about the Eagles, it's that if they lose a playoff game, it is going to be because of their offense, not their defense. If they lose because of their defense, like their defense gives up 40 points or something like that, I'm going to be absolutely shocked. I certainly won't complain, but I would be shocked. But anyway, enough about ranting about the Eagles. Again, I do that way too much. With the Bills' loss here, the Patriots clinched the division. The Bills are very much in the playoffs, but they're a wild card team instead of a division team. That means they will not be able to host a playoff game. I think unless they play it another wild card team that's lower seeded. But anyway, like their first game that they're playing, they have to play away, and that's big because the Bills have pretty good home field advantage with their stadium. So yeah, it's big loss for them. Really ugly loss. Josh Allen didn't have a very spectacular game. His throw on the 2-point conversion to end the game was terrible. Like, it's a throw. It wasn't an easy throw. Like, he's kind of rolling to his left and trying to throw kind of not necessarily against his body, but like basically in line with Khalil Shakir, but it's only like a 5-yard throw. And Shakir was wide open, completely wide open. And Allen missed him by like a good margin. Like, it wasn't a close throw. It was, he missed him. So it's, I like the Bills, but I'm still a little hesitant on them because they haven't shown a lot to say that they're different from any of the Bills teams we've seen before. And honestly, they look not quite as good compared to some of the Bills teams from before, especially in the receiving department. Like, they just do not have a good receiver core at all. Like, James Cook is having a really good season, but he can't do anything. Josh Allen can't do everything either. So I'm a little worried about the Bills. Now then, we get to Sunday Night Football. This game was really fun. It was the Chicago Bears going into San Francisco to take on the 49ers. And after the first drive where Brock Purdy basically threw a pick six on the first play of the game, both defenses just decided to take the night off. The 49ers would win 42-38 in a game that was very reminiscent of the Rams Chiefs game back on Monday Night Football in 2018. Or it might have been 2018. It was 2018. In the like 54-51 game that they had then, where it was just the offenses were just trading drives back and forth, just scoring on basically every single drive they could. And it was really entertaining. Both quarterbacks had good games. Christian McCaffrey had a really good game. Luther Burden had a really good game. Brock Purdy had like an amazing game. I think he threw for 5 touchdowns. Caleb Williams had a good game. He threw for 330 yards and 2 touchdowns. Purdy had three touchdowns. I thought he had 5 for some reason, but I guess I was thinking of Drake May. But yeah, McCaffrey had 140 yards on the ground, and this is also without George Kittle for the Niners. They still played really well. Purdy was spreading the ball around a lot, and just Bears defense was not good. They seem to be, I think I've said it before, their defense is really turnover based, where they generate turnovers at an insane rate. Like far better than anyone else in the league at this point. They got another one this game, started off the game like that. But outside of that, they do tend to struggle a little bit. And this is one where more so than any other game this year, they really struggled. The Niners were just putting on a clinic of how to just style on this Bears defense. And that's not to discredit the Bears offense, because they basically did the same thing with the Niners defense, but the Niners at least have the excuse that they don't have Nick Bosa or Fred Warner. The Bears don't quite have the same excuse. The Bears just don't have much of a pass rush. Their defensive line just isn't the best in the world. And that, they're fortunate that their DBs and linebackers, especially their linebackers who are playing really well this year, are incredible at forcing interceptions and fumbles. But it's clear that when teams aren't turning the ball over 5 times against the Bears, they can, pick apart, or they can do well when against a pretty lackluster pass rush. And that's going to be probably the biggest weakness for the Bears going into the playoffs, is their lack of a pass rush and their defense that is volatile, and it can be really good, but also pretty bad at times. This was one where it came down to the wire. The Bears actually had a chance to win it, pull off another comeback, but they fell just short this time. Trent Williams also went down on the first play of the game with a hamstring injury. So hopefully he's all right, because I would like Trent Williams, obviously, as a Commanders fan, have plenty of loyalty towards him because he started his career and lasted for many, many years playing as one of the best offensive tackles in football as a then Redskin. And this is just one of the ones where it's two good offenses go in and one of them has to lose. And unfortunately for the Bears, they had to lose. So I think they still have the division. They still clinched the division because of the Packers and really everyone else in the division just being incredibly mid. But they lost any shot at the number 1 seed. So they're just kind of, I think it's there at this point. They don't really have much to play for. I think it's maybe seeding, but at this point they're locked into a home playoff game in the wild card round, essentially. For the Niners, though, huge win for them. They keep up pace with the Seahawks, and once again, credit to Kyle Shanahan and this coaching staff for dealing with a ton of injuries this season, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and still just having an insane team. It helps when you have a really good system, really good coaching, and really good depth. And it's like that's big reasons why, despite the injuries, the Niners are still playing really well because they have they're a very well-rounded team. Like they don't quite. I mean, they have some really like superstars like McCaffrey and Kittle, and then Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. But overall, it's more one where just the overall team is just solid all around. There's few weaknesses, like glaring weaknesses anywhere compared to a lot of other teams where you can like point to a specific player or position group that's like, yeah, this guy's not good. And it's like you can pick on them and like really isolate them. Whereas the Niners, I feel like there aren't too many players on this team that when starting, that's like they're a major weakness. Like not all of them are superstars or even like stars, but they're good. And that makes this team really dangerous. I'm still like, I can certainly see them making the Super Bowl, but I have zero confidence in Kyle Shanahan actually winning a Super Bowl because he has a very poor track record when it comes to that. Then finally, the Monday Night Football game, the Los Angeles Rams going into Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And this was a very surprising game because obviously the Rams having a very good season. Matt Stafford, the front runner for MVP. He had coming in this game, I think he had 40 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So, and going up against an Atlanta team that was, while playing good football over the past couple of weeks, has been eliminated from the playoffs and, has a lot of flaws. So obviously Stafford proceeded to throw 3 interceptions this game, one of them being a pick six, almost threw 2 pick sixes, and got off to a really slow start. The Rams did not score a single point in the first half, I should say. And the Rams defense just let Bijan Robinson run all over them. Bijan had a 93-yard touchdown run, finished with 195 yards total on the day. And the Falcons would win 27-24. They almost pulled a Falcons and let they almost let the Rams come back in and take the lead from them. They almost choked the game. The Rams did tie it up, but the Falcons would win it in the end. And I mean, hey, it's for the Falcons. They don't really need to tank because their first round pick is they traded to the Rams for this season. Obviously, their other picks can still be affected by their placement, but it's not quite the same as a first round pick. So I mean, for everything that's gone wrong for the Falcons this season, they at least have shown that they can play well against good teams. Like they beat the Rams, they beat the Bills. They lost by 1 to the Patriots. So they play good teams well. They just have also lost to the Panthers twice, including getting shut out. They lost to, I'm pretty sure it was the Jets and then also the Dolphins. So it's like, what is this team? I don't know. Kirk Cousins looked fine in this game. It was Bijan Robinson having an insane game. Blake Corum got injured in this game for the Rams, unfortunately, pretty early on, and that did seem to hamper their offense a little bit. Their run game was getting stuffed the whole time. And it took a little while for the passing offense to really start clicking. Once it did, though, it was like back to the normal Rams. Puka Nacua was having another really good game. Stat-wise, it wasn't like amazing, but like just watching him, it's like, man, this guy's so good. He made one of like the most insane non-catches you'll ever see, where it's like towards the end of the game, it looked like he didn't catch it, then it looked like he did catch it, but then he didn't. It was just one of the ones where it's like an inch away from being one of the greatest catches of all time. And overall one. It's for the Falcons. I mean, I don't know what this team's going to look like next year, like who's going to be in, who's going to be out and all that, but it's nice to see that like their defense especially having a really good game. And their offense, I mean, it's just once again showing that Bijan is absurd. So there's stuff to build on at least. For the Rams, though, this is very concerning. Just that the Falcons of all teams kind of embarrass them. Stafford, you hope he can just flush this out of his system. I'm assuming he can because Stafford's really good, but like this is not his usual style of performance. And you just got to hope that this is a fluke and not a trend. Because this would be a really bad time to start going on a sloppy type of game trend when you're going into the literal last week of the season. So yeah, the Rams fall to 11-5. I think they're out of the race for the number 1 seed and the division. I'm pretty sure because the Seahawks are 13-3. So I think they're in the wild card spot as well. But they're still very much within, they're a playoff team essentially. And yeah, so I'll go over the playoff picture now, for the season going into week 18, just kind of reading what ESPN says. So yeah, the 49ers are currently the 1 seed. I guess, I don't really know. Or I guess they're 12-4, but the Seahawks are 13-3, I think. So I don't know why this has them listed as the number 1 seed. I guess it's because hang on, one second. Let me check the standings. How does it say? How does it list? Okay, yeah. So the Seahawks are listed as the 1 seed. It's just weird in the actual playoff picture graphic. But anyway, I think it's also because it's also predicting. Anyway, sorry about that. So the 49ers, the Bears, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Packers have all clinched playoff spots in the NFC. The number 1 seed and the NFC West division, which are kind of hand in hand, is a coin flip between the 49ers and the Seahawks. They play Saturday night, I believe. And that's going to be a really fun game. The Bears, I think, are kind of locked into the 2 seed because if basically whoever wins between the 49ers or whoever loses in the 49ers Seahawks is relegated, they have to be to a wild card spot. So that's that. I think the Eagles are locked into the 3 seed because they won the division. And then the 4 seed is going to be whoever wins or whatever the outcome is between the Panthers and the Buccaneers. That's obviously the Buccaneers are the outside looking in because they need to beat the Panthers on Saturday because I think they always play Saturday, and then have the Falcons lose, I believe. It's one of the 2 outcomes. I don't remember. I think it's the Falcons losing, but I don't remember for sure. But the Panthers have the inside track to the 4 seed. The Seahawks or the Niners, whoever loses between them, has a lock for the 5 seed. The Rams have the lock for the 6 seed, and the Packers have the lock for the 7 seed. In the AFC, the Broncos, Patriots, Jaguars, Texans, Bills, and Chargers have all locked in playoff spots. The Broncos are currently the 1 seed and have won the division and are the inside track to winning the 1 seed, I think because of strength of schedule. I'm assuming because the Patriots have an insanely weak strength of schedule. I think they have the same record and all that. The Patriots are locked in the 2 seed though, because once again, they're also 13-3. Jags locked in the 3 seed because they're not locked in the 3 seed because they can still lose the division to the Texans. Though I think they need a few outcomes to help them there. The Jags still have a chance technically to win the number 1 overall seed, where I think they would have to win, and then the Broncos and the Patriots would have to lose, and then maybe some other things going their way, but that's a very slim shot for them. So I think there's a chance the Jaguars could get into either of the top 2 seeds, but they are firmly within the 3 seed at the moment, but there's a chance that they could be bumped down to the wild card spot should things break against them and for the Texans. The 4 seed is either the Ravens or the Steelers, depending on who wins between them in week 18. Is very much up in the air. I'm assuming the Ravens are going to win that game because I think the Ravens are playing better football than the Steelers are at the moment. Though if there's no Lamar Jackson in that game, that could be very interesting. But it's also very much dependent on how much the Ravens run Derrick Henry and how much the Steelers are able to stop Derrick Henry. So I think that's going to be a very interesting game to watch. Steelers-Ravens games are always also a blast to watch as well. So that should be very fun. As I said before, the Texans are the 5 seed. They have a chance to bump up into the 3 seed. I assume they cannot make the 2 seed. So they're either 3 or 5. The Bills are the 6 seed, and I think they're a lock there. The Chargers are a 7 seed, and I think they're a lock there as well. There could be some change between the wild card spots in the AFC, but I don't think so. I think let me actually double check the records. Okay, so actually no. So the Texans, Chargers, and Bills are all 11-5. So there could be some change between those two depending on how the last week ends up. But I mean, the Chargers and the Bills are wild card spots only. Where they end up in the wild card is still TBD. So that will do it for the playoff preview and Week 17 as a whole. Can't believe we're almost done with the season. It's absolutely insane to me. I've been enjoying this a lot. I'm looking forward to the end of the season and going over there. So that will obviously be recapped next Tuesday on this podcast for Week 18. But I think though for an episode for Saturday, I'm going to probably do an actual play-by-play review, more of a play-by-play commentary of the Seahawks-Niners game, because I'm 99% sure that game is happening on Saturday. I'm just double checking to make sure, but I'm 99% sure that is the Saturday night game. Yeah, Saturday, January 3rd at 8 p.m. I'm going to do a podcast episode where I commentate on that as a play-by-play announcer. I did one for an Orioles-Red Sox game back in September, I guess it would have been. Basically when I started this. It was like one of the third episode I did. And I'll try and dust off my old play-by-play skills that I did for college in 1 year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I think it'll be fun. I haven't done a football game yet. I wanted to do one for the Commanders, but since the Commanders suck this year, I would not have had fun doing it. So I'll do one that should be a very fun game to watch between two playoff caliber teams. Not caliber, it's two playoff teams at this point. In a very pivotal game as well. So that'll be the next episode. That'll be coming out on Saturday after I get it recorded. Basically Saturday night into Sunday. So yeah, there's that. And then after that, it will be the final recap of the 2025 regular season. That'll do it for that. Please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is Henry the Host, all one word. I would very much appreciate it. Also, if you can throw comments into these episodes on wherever you're listening to, I don't know if you can, but it'd be cool if you did. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. So thank you very much for listening.